Hi, GM everyone. How's it going?
It's a true GM, bright and early here in Denver.
Yes, that's for sure. That's for sure. This is 7:30 a.m. for us. So, like during a week like in Denver, like it's definitely considered an early morning. We'll wait a few more minutes for everyone to join before we start. So if you're joining from, anywhere around the world, GM, it's going to be a live stream by the team during ETHDenver, sharing a few insights, experiences, but let's just wait for a bit. And then after that, I'm going to share every details of the agenda. How's everyone feeling? What are you up to today?
It's a lot of dry air up here in Denver, so I'm a little bit, in the face, if you will. Tried to go for a run the other day. At about a mile, I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. So, yeah, this mile high altitude is very real.
Yes, that's for sure. You can also feel that like everything is dry, your skin, your lips. This is very, very
My lips.
famous and popular here now. Everyone doing like lip balms as well as a merch because, you know, we just have to care about it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people for the swag will give out t-shirts, scarves, but honestly, I just want chapstick, hand sanitizer, and maybe eye drops. That'd be a good one.
Oh my God,
Sunscreen.
yes.
Hence,
Yeah.
I
Why we
think
haven't thought
I
about
think
that
we
before.
should do, yeah, we should do like vitamins as well because there are people falling sick.
Yeah,
I think next
it's
one,
Yeah,
like
for sure.
practical stuff.
Yeah,
yes.
I think this is I think back, I think this is my fourth or fifth ETH Denver, and I definitely caught COVID in the first one, so it's a nice little welcome.
Oh no. Yeah,
Yes.
I hope everyone is okay now this time. Like there's way too many people, at the same space. It's like it happens, unfortunately. Okay, we are at 38 right now. So I would say let's get started. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
let's do it.
Hi, welcome everyone, GM, to this very special edition live stream. We are reporting live from ETHDenver, actually, sharing more about like our ETHDenver experiences, the events that we've been hosting or we've been attending, and just in general, about the whole conference experience and vibes. We wanted to make sure that like we are not leaving anyone behind. So this live streaming is our way to have you, join the Mantle ETHDenver journey from wherever you are in the world. And we got something very unique for this stream. You're actually your own chain proof of being part of this journey, but I'll share more info later about that. So stay tuned, stay with us. Thank you so much for joining. Before we jump into the agenda, let me introduce you the team on stage. My name is Hannah. I'm part of the Mantle Network BD team, focusing on everything that's culture and social. We have Thomas here, who is the CEO of Function. There's Brian, the Chief Growth Officer at Mantle Network. We have Sean, the Consumer Ecosystem Lead at Mantle Network, and we have Ben, our Ecosystem BD Latam Accelerator boy. So GM everyone.
GM and
GM.
Thomas is very outnumbered by network folks right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think my brother's on a flight, so
Wait, but Hannah, you didn't introduce yourself.
Yeah, I did in the beginning. Said I'm
Oh,
from the
okay.
Mental Network team, focusing on everything
No.
that's social and culture. Imagine that. Oh, good.
Too early. It's too early for Ben.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very early for all of us here. So maybe we are also gonna have Veer joining us from sozu House. He actually has some internet troubles, so we'll see if he's gonna pop up. But I'll just give the mic to Ben to continue.
Yes. Sorry. I think good evening for everyone in Asia and good afternoon-ish for everyone in Europe. Very, very excited to be here. Do have some questions for. Actually, I want to throw it back to Hannah. So I see this Poet Passport, on the top left on my side. I'm not sure if it's top right, top left, or for other people. But yes, so what is this Mantle Passport, or why should our community check it out? Why should people who are interested in FBTC, Map Protocol, all our 6 products, Mantle Network, so on and so forth? And also, what are the rewards? I think it's very exciting. If you've ever done this, I think this is the first edition of live from a conference. Yeah, so tell us, what is this?
Yes, yeah. So if you've seen it, if you have good eyes, you actually seen it already. We have a QR code in one of the corners of our live stream. So feel free to just go scan it with your phone. Basically, this year we built a gamified experience for ETHDenver together with the POP team. This is the very first time, super exciting for us. And this gamified experience is actually the Mantle Passport. In simple words, it's a guidebook to our ETHDenver journey where everyone can find our events, mint unique POAPs, and unlocking rewards. And basically, we designed this passport with our online community in mind. So even if you couldn't make it to Denver, you can mint a special POAP, signaling that you met the Mantle team, you met us online during Denver, during this live stream. So with that, once you mint a POAP, you can unlock some very cool rewards. We are going to share the POAP link or the QR at the end of the live stream. So stay tuned. We are still waiting, if someone want to join in during we are talking here about the rewards. We actually got like a very interesting mixture of like 3 limited rewards. It's including a raffle to win a 10 Boys NFT. So even if you just go mint the POAP that you met the team, you're eligible to already be part of the raffle. We also have some limited edition merch, a boys swag for our night party that we are hosting on Saturday here, IRL in Denver. And then also the last one is an invite to our Mantle in Denver group chat on Telegram. It's for the vibes, for us to share, where we are, taking some pictures, sharing like the good places to go and grab coffee at. So we got a QR ready, as I said, for you to check out the passport real quick. You can actually see some sozu haus, some boys, and a few like Mantle POAPs there. And on that note, I think let's start, talking a bit more about the Denver experience in general, and then we can loop back to sozu haus. The team is actually, I think, doing a really great job at being everywhere in Denver. So I'm very very curious to hear some hot takes on the major trends across like the different talks you guys been attending, projects, and some other events. So my first question is actually for Thomas. What do you think? What is the state of BTC-Fi here in Denver? Like, what are the rising narratives, and where the whole momentum is building?
Sure, absolutely. Hannah, thanks for the tee up here. So why don't I give a quick reintroduction as well, because I'm a little bit newer to the community. And I was on a State of the Mantle Union about a month ago, but I think it's prudent for everyone to just understand, and I can help contextualize because we also did a rebrand. So the asset, of course, is FBTC. We did not do the rebrand there. We rebranded the parent company Ignition to Function. So me being a math nerd, you can think of it like f of x. You're trying to create function in an equation. You can do f of BTC, right? FBTC, because we're trying to turn Bitcoin from a static, idle store of value into something that's productive, that has yield, and that is a financial instrument. So in the end, you can think about function like Circle, and then FBTC like USDC. So FBTC is the flagship product of Function. I believe as of this morning, we're still at about 13,000 BTC, so about 1.3 billion TVL. And again, we're backed by Mantle and Alpha and a very large Western institution that's about to come in. So onto your question about what am I seeing on the Bitcoin Fi space? So yeah, the past 3 days here, I've mainly been attending Bitcoin conferences. So on Wednesday, there is a conference held by this group called the TIE, T-I-E. It's an institutionally focused conference. I think they have a live stream as well. But the reason that is such a gold mine is because they've been able to curate all of the largest Western and Eastern institutions into one place to face off against projects, right? So for there, you'll find interesting representatives from market makers like Wintermute and FalconX and GSR to large asset managers like Pantera and Galaxy, to vault curators like Gauntlet, Upshift, and then to projects like Mantle. Mantle and Function were both participating, as well as other ones that you've heard of like Avalanche, etc. So that was probably the best event in my opinion. It's definitely more institutionally focused, so not a lot of swag, but a lot of honest conversations. And with regards to Bitcoin specifically, a lot of the question just happens around everybody, all the institutions know that Bitcoin yield is a massive opportunity. As of January this year, there's more BTC being held by US Bitcoin ETFs than Satoshi Nakamoto, right? So the institutions have already come in and said, hey, we like what we see in Bitcoin, and we're adopting it as our reserve asset, if you will, in planting our flag in a crypto. And right now our TVL is about, because I want to get people excited, right? So right now our TVL is about 1.3 billion. It's about a tenth of the size of the leader, which is WBTC. And again, for those who don't know me, before this, I actually ran WBTC at BitGo. So I was at BitGo for 6.5 years and saw the evolution of DeFi 1.0, DeFi 2.0, and how WBTC played a role. And I would actually flip the question on its head and say, don't ask why, oh my gosh, there's already 130,000 BTC or 13 billion by WBTC. I would ask, why is there only that much? There is an incredible amount of sideline capital of BTC being held by institutions at large custodians or self-custodied that's not moving on chain yet. The biggest gap right now is critical infrastructure. So in short, if I'm a large institution and I want to deploy my BTC, there's really 3 steps, right? Number 1 is let me identify where the alpha opportunity is. Very good at that. Number 2, let me access that and deploy capital efficiently. That's where they tend to struggle because, frankly, the rails aren't that good, at least not yet for institutions and what they care about. And then, of course, number 3 is how do I protect that capital once it does go on chain? So I feel like I could talk for a lot longer, but I'll leave people with that. There's a lot of interesting conversations around building L2s. I think that a number of L2s on Bitcoin have actually dwindled from like 150 down to like 40. We'll see more consolidation in these L2s or sidechains of Bitcoin. But I think the game for real innovation and new primitives to come online is how do we move institutional capital on chain? And that's what we're doing at Function with FBTC.
Yeah, I totally feel you on that. It's hard to know that, like, when to stop sharing, because there's just so much to talk about. And I want to encourage everyone also in the comments, if you have any questions, drop just below in the comments about, like, thank you so much, Thomas, for sharing this. I feel that there are more and more like BTC focused like events happening in Denver, which is really interesting to see that, like, during ETHDenver there is there's one narrative which is like everything Ethereum aligned, Ethereum events, and there's also like a larger, like, growing group of like BTC events. So it was good to hear your experiences on that. I like moving on, but still staying with the ETHDenver experiences. Brian, what's the word on interop and L2s? It's interop act, interops is solved. Who is building? What's capturing actually attention at the moment?
Yeah, I'll zoom out a little bit from there and then zoom back in to answer the question directly. ETHDenver, in many ways, is a reflection of the soul of Ethereum. I feel like, you go to more business-oriented events like Consensus or Permissionless in the States or Token 2049 abroad, and you get a different feel of what people are speculating on, where people are looking to park their dollars, what people are looking to grow. You come to Denver and you see people questioning the infrastructure side of things. You see people questioning the Ethereum Foundation. There are a lot of existential questions always looming in Denver, and I feel like, if you look at the charts and if you look at Twitter, both 2 ends of the same spectrum, you'll get that sense of existential dread of like what is going on in Ethereum. And a lot of these conversations are happening here, and it's great to be a part of those conversations. So to zoom in onto the question about interop, I think anyone who is even remotely aligned with the Ethereum vision understands that interop is a very important question that needs to be answered. That being said, those who work at the protocol level, at the foundation level of specific chains also need to think about where their future is as an execution environment, what applications are being built on the network. We often hear, and I tend to agree with that, there's too much infrastructure in crypto, and that where are the dApps, where are these experiences, right? So I think everyone here agrees that interop is a very important question that needs to be answered, but I think people disagree on where that interop needs to happen. I think a lot of people are wishing and hoping for the Ethereum Foundation to step in and give a little bit more guidance themselves. I think some people are afraid of that. If Ethereum starts encroaching onto the L2 landscape and starts to grab value that Ethereum has sort of left open for L2s to grab, I think there's a little bit of fear there and a question there. So I think people are divided. There are questions on whether interop should be solved at the sequencer or whether interop could be solved elsewhere. So these questions people are attempting to answer them here. There's a robust debate. I think it's reflective of the soul of Ethereum, and I think we'll come out of this conference stronger. That's my hope. And one last point, actually, I probably should have led with this. I think people are questioning in a healthy way. I don't think it's in a negative way. People are questioning the value of a settlement layer. There are folks outside of the Ethereum world who are pushing the narrative of a base layer, who are looking to shift the Overton window of debate as to where interop can occur. So there's this sovereign rollup debate versus native rollups, and I think it's healthy to have that conversation and to question where is ETH alignment, what does ETH alignment actually mean, and how do you accomplish it through interop. So lots of questions to be answered. I think it's healthy for Ethereum to take a look at itself and to take a look at outside of Ethereum and gain inspiration from other ecosystems, because I take the view that it's a rising tides environment. We need to grow the pie. So yes, interop is on the menu. Has it been solved today? No. Will it be solved tomorrow? Likely not. But everyone is very excited about it.
Yeah, and that's what we all care about. It's really interesting, hearing your takes on like ETH alignment, especially I think right now, because let's be real, like the last 2 months, like January, February, there were a lot of things happening in the space, around the space, even like in the Ethereum ecosystem and just, around us. So that's definitely an interesting time. And personally, I don't know about you guys, but personally, I can feel that like there is some sort of shift in the sentiment and how we are experiencing ETHDenver. I couldn't decide just yet if it's like a good, a bad, or like just in the middle kind of feeling. But yeah, the last 2 months, I think I aged like 60 years, maybe.
I think the market tanked every time I'm at ETHDenver. It's like everyone's out,
Exactly.
having fun or networking, and no one's actually coding, and then all of a sudden the market's puking.
Yeah, let's move it to like Boulder or Vail or some other Colorado town. Like,
Yeah,
no disrespect to Denver.
Yeah, definitely. There is something in the air in Denver, but we're looking at the charts. We are seeing a lot of red, but yeah. Actually, market, it's even like it's a good way to bring up my next question, which is to Ben. The markets are down, the builders are around. So what do you think? Like, how do you feel? What's the status of the builder community at the moment here at ETHDenver? Are we bullish, or what's the sentiment?
It's a mix. It's a mix of sentiment so far. Spends a bit of time in Sozu House. Actually, most of my time I was spending in Sozu House is having meetings, having guys come over and check out our hacker house. But to be honest, there were not many hardcore people who were like, "Oh, yeah, market's down, but we're just going to continue shipping." So we like that. I think as an industry where no matter whether the market goes up or down, it's going to keep going. There's a bunch of hackathons happening right here. I think we checked out a few. I met some teams who are building some stuff who was like really interesting. It's like a prediction market for assassination, something like that. I was like, what in the world is going on? All sorts of crazy things happening in the space. I think even Sozu House is hosting a AI hackathon this weekend online, but we also have a demo day on Saturday tomorrow morning.
I can't hear you clearly, but is it a me issue or can you guys hear Ben?
Yeah, it's chopping up for me as well.
Let's just go.
Okay.
Testing, test. Can you
Yeah,
hear me now?
all good. Yeah, you back.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. So I was saying that the non-hardcore like developers and stuff like that were looking at the charts, and we were like, okay, you know what? Let's just go back to the hotel and cry, or let's go out and not look at this and just talk. So I think overall, yes, the industry is a bit here and there, especially with everything is going on. But I think the future is very bright. The future is very bright. I think we've met a bunch of people. We had a couple of meetings here internally, and we've also I met with Brian. Brian and I went out and meet some other folks. Brian also told me he was going to meet certain folks. I was like, oh, that sounds very interesting. Can't name drop anyone yet, but yes, very interesting.
Yeah. Actually, this is funny this year. I feel like hacker houses are definitely a meta. There are a lot of hacker houses happening around. As you said, also we checked out a few around sozu. I just like one more last question to you, Ben. Like you mentioned like a few things, like what's going on in sozu. Do you mind like sharing, a bit of insight, like a bit of TLDR of sozu, since like Veer couldn't join us today?
Yeah, I'll speak on VS intern for life. But overall, yeah, so Sozu has been an amazing. It's my first time checking out Sozu House. I haven't been able to go to other Sozu houses in differences previously, but I think Sozu House has created this very cool. Yeah, we see from the videos here. It's created this very nice developer communities down, and you work together. You just grinding hard. We have, if I'm not wrong, 66 people in this house, right? So they wake up, they see each other, they build, they have lunch, they build, they have a workshop, they build, and then they go to bed, they build. But I think the best part about it is every night, about 10, 11-ish at night, they will sit down. So about 66 people will sit down in this hall over here. They will sit down, they will have a chat with each other. It's like a whole support system, and they will talk about what have they struggled with in terms of building what they were building, or what do they need help with, or what did they succeed with. And then some guys will come in, or some other teams will say, hey, let me support.
Yeah. We love the hotel internet. That's our favorite. I can clearly see. Oh, you got.
Yeah. So there was Kaito, Virtual Story Protocol, I think Act, Eliza OS, and one more. I can't remember who. But yeah, there's a bunch of things going on there, and it's just so interesting to see these hardcore builders get so cracked. They barely leave the house. I think I've seen maybe one or two guys having to go out for a meeting, but the rest of the time they're just there. So they're really hardcore, like locked. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I was also spending, I think, a few hours like every single day there because it's just such a good vibe. Like you're looking around, everyone is either on their computer or they are just in small groups talking about like products, the interesting things in the space. And I think you mentioned the late night sessions. I always think about that as a therapy session. It's like all the builders, we all need the therapy here, talking about like what's going on, how we can help each other. It's like a really, really good way, to just build even like just the community IRL. So definitely Veer and everyone else is doing an amazing job with Sozu. So if you're here on the live stream and you happen to be in Denver, go check out. This is an Amber hostel. We can also just, share the announcement, share the link with you, how you can get there. But as you've seen it on the video, like we always have something going on. So actually, also you mentioned like the online hackathon. I knew that previously or in the past few weeks, we had the hackathons happening, and also like IRL, we are very focused on AI. At this cohort, and right now, AI is everywhere this year. Everyone is either talking about the AI or building with AI. And my next question is for Sean, is like, is the attention justified? Are we in a bubble? So what's your consensus on like long-term values and the impact of like, the mixture of crypto and AI?
Right, good question. Before I touch on AI, I just want to quickly supplement on the upcoming program for Sozu House as well. Ben, you might have touched on it as you weaved in and out with the internet connection, but later on today, we actually have Founders Mode at Sozu House, which is at the Amber Hostel. So it's just a series of 10-minute lightning talks by some of the goats in the space. We have JK Eve from Safari doing a marketing workshop. We have Zero X Moon doing yapping. Casey from Topology doing fundraising, Jimbo on cloud building, Max Torres on financial modeling, Poap doing enterprise partnership, Kush from Odyssea doing building for the global south, and Big Mac No Flag touching on growth driven design. And later on in this evening as well, we do have the legendary Sozu barbecue. So if you guys are around, do drop by. This is something that you can't ever miss. We've been running the barbecue for the last couple of years over here at ETHDenver, and it's a great way to run up the week as well. So just want to go back to the question on AI, right? There was a huge kind of narrative that we've seen in the last couple of months here. So just to kind of take a stock take on what the vibes is like, what the consensus is like on AI here at ETHDenver, I would say a lot of people agree that we're still very much in its infancy stage, and we're just barely scratching the surface here. If you look at over the timeline, we're just barely in about 4 to 6 months into the AI narrative. I would say we have just kind of witnessed a chat GPT or mid journey moment here in crypto, right? When we saw the agents kind of flooding the timelines. And very soon after, everyone got really frustrated with the noise and all the reply guys, the slot bots, and all of that. I think we and there was an expansion into a more specific sub-vertical or cross-vertical between DeFi and AI, as we now call it Def AI. But even then, a lot of the automation of those actions are very simple transactions, right? A lot of us crypto savvy folks, if you ask us and you compare like text prompting interface to conduct all of these on-chain transactions, would you rather click the buttons yourself to swap, USDC to MNT or do a bridge? You would very much rather click those buttons than type in the commands, right? So even for question on modality of AI itself, I would recommend a lot of the builders to actually look at what is happening in traditional AI or what is actually at the forefront of AI in Silicon Valley, right? Especially so in terms of the interface. I think one of the biggest thing here that we predict is that AI is actually going to be one of the biggest distribution and interface layer for perhaps all of the verticals here that we see in crypto. So DeFi, games, social, infra, whatnot. And this is going to be interesting, right? Talking about, is the attention justified? I would say maybe 90% of it is a bubble, right? But I would say the silver lining in getting a lot of attention is over here this week at ETHDenver. I've been comforted to know that there are a lot of new builders that is their first crypto hacker house that they are joining. I've been hopping around Sozu House, Eigen Layer Hacker House as well. There are new people joining the space, new people coming in to build as well, right? So I think that's always a good thing to witness and observe. So the attention is good. I would like to keep that going. It's always a high and a low, but I think the attention is what brings in new people, brings in a top talent globally as well.
Yes, yeah. Do you have any like favorite projects, by the way, like AI project that you are very bullish on top of your mind?
I wouldn't go into the specifics of any particular project, but I would say, one of the most interesting intersection I've seen is the crossover between DeepIn and AI,
Oh, yeah.
When we talk about crypto and AI, it's always about a bi-directional kind of thing, right? I think from a first principle approach, what can crypto do for AI, or why does crypto need AI? And on the flip side is, why does AI need crypto, right? This is on a high level, but when we kind of double click into it, I think one of the crossover that makes the most sense or is the most straightforward, or I've seen a lot of collaborative kind of vibes as well, is DeepIn and AI. So again, what can DeepIn do for AI and what can AI do for DeepIn?
Yeah.
So just very quickly, I think what DeepIn can do for AI is really a very decentralized kind of approach. When you look at traditional tech infrastructure, compute, storage, and network are very foundational building blocks of everything. So we usually move from a more generalized kind of spectrum, with a very early industry, to something that's more specialized. And you see something, even on software and hardware, you start to see a lot of things that are more catered to, more purpose built for certain things, right? So even for storage, compute, stuff like that, DPIN, we could start to see a lot of it being more tailored for AI. And AI for DPIN would be, more capital efficient utilization of the resources, how they can actually filter the data of all this kind of DeepIn infrastructure as well.
Yeah, a lot of conversations, a lot of panels happening, around these topics. Just, as we're also like very, very focused on with Sozu by Mantle, could you share more about like, like how Mantle is actually supporting the long-term on-chain AI builders?
Yeah, for sure. So over here in Mantle, we believe in the long-term, mid to long-term value of supporting builders, right? As we talk about narrative and attention, it comes and goes. I think the next few months for AI would be very quiet, but this is one of the best time to actually build, for the AI folks, right? And prepare for the next wave of AI 2.0. So over here in Mantle, in the last few months, we have been allocating a lot of resources for builder programs and builder initiatives. As mentioned earlier, Sozu House this time around in ETHDenver is a huge focus on AI. 60 over builders over at the hostel staying over there. The majority of the folks are actually focused on AI. We had a Story Protocol workshop. We had Virtuous workshop earlier in the week as well. you know in the next couple of months and in the next few quarters over the year as well, we are definitely going to consistently put out more allocation of resources for AI builders. So more hackathons, you definitely expect more hackathons, more buildathons from us, even to the extent of accelerators. I think this is something that's very important. So we are trying to bring on new partners as well. We're in conversations with a few kind of venture capital firms and those kind of incubators,
Yeah.
to see how we can work together. And I think one of the biggest gap that we've seen as well, and it's very quickly improving, is how do we turn hackers and nurture them into founders,
Yeah.
right? And this is not a unique problem in crypto. This is something that is also common in the traditional world for startups as well. A lot of the hackers that are hopping on the hackathons, there is a huge gap between converting them and nurturing them to founders, and this is what we're focusing here at Mantle as well.
Yeah.
Earlier this year, we've also announced 3 innovation pillars, right? One of it being an enhanced index fund for Mantle, second being a Mantle bank, and third, Mantle X. Mantle X, want to zoom in a little bit, is basically an AI augmented division where we're focusing on showcasing what it really means when we actually weave in AI into our organization, right? So we have actually identified a few focus areas or use cases across fund management, treasury management, investment, on-chain research, community and social and creative. This is where we are open to working with teams directly in building up custom builds, right? I think the headline or the story that we're trying to strive for in next 1 year is that we'll start from small, but we hope to reach a stage where we're able to proudly say there's a $10 million fund that's managed by AI.
Yeah.
So that is the focus for us here.
Yeah, it's really good to hear that, like, we have all of these pillars and narratives to support. I'm very bullish on that, like what we are building here and all the builders around us. So thank you so much for sharing all these details. I think I will give the mic back to Ben for a bit to also ask a question from me.
Yes. So I think question to Hannah. What's vibes? Who's bringing the
Yeah.
vibes? What's cool? Actually, to anyone here, if you guys want to share, because overall, I think we can even loop in Thomas, right? On the BTC community. because we're like very L2 or very EVM centric. Yeah. So what's the vibe like? Who's driving culture this
Yeah.
year in Denver? I know some crazy things are happening for certain events, but
Yes,
just
yeah, yeah. About like the vibes and culture here, as I mentioned previously, like I personally feel that like it's a bit different, but you know there are some things still that like are very similar to previous conferences, and one of them is I think the culture that like the different events reflect, and I would say that Refraction never disappoints. So we've seen them delivering the vibes like at every single conference, and Eat Denver is no different. They also like host very creative nights. And by the way, I feel like there is a dinner meta happening, which is driving a big culture around intentionality this year. Just as how we actually hosted a social capital dinner here in Denver. If you haven't heard about social capital before, this is a social experiment powered by Mantle, which is an initiative hosting dinners around the world at different conferences and inviting a curated group of builders. This round, we had a lot of partners and a lot of projects joining us on at the dinner on the culture side. For example, we had the Refraction team, we had Greg from Friends with Benefit, we had from Sheeler. So there's definitely a lot of culture and a lot of vibes driving here at Mantle. But also like, for example, on the dinner side, I think Zirian and Celestia did an amazing job as well with the dinners. But I would love to hear your thoughts as well, guys. Like, what do you think? Like, what's the vibe here right now? Feel free to anyone who
I,
like.
I can, yeah. I can jump in quickly on this. I think in terms of vibes, swags, experience, in real life experience, a lot of this make up the vibes here. I would say Cookie Tree did a good job with the private dinner and their merch as well. It's the small things, right? They actually had earplugs at the doorstep for merch, and you probably don't have to use earplugs. Maybe I don't know when you go for partying here at ETHDenver, but it's a small packet, and what they wrote on it is here's some earplugs for you to block out the fart, right? It's little
Oh,
things that this attention to details. I've seen the 0x team as well and the matcha one. I think those matcha are really great. I would say a little bit biased, but I would say come down to our boys party, our boys event this Saturday evening. We've got some cool stuff there as well.
yeah, absolutely. I love it when, it's very intentional. I love it when even like on the merch level, as we previously, talked about like how dry everything is, like you need the lip balms. So many projects are doing lip balms, hand creams, and then, all, for example, the tiny details always matter. So do you guys have any favorite merch from ETHDenver? What were you collecting?
I've been in industry long enough where back in the day, I wish I had collected swag from BlockFi and everybody else, so I can have it as a token of a days gone by. Not collecting swag as much, but on the Bitcoin Fi side, most people are looking out for Babylon and their launch in a couple weeks, right? And what that means for the restaking infrastructure and ecosystem that's being built on top of Bitcoin. Of course, not just Babylon, but then all of the Bitcoin L2s and LSTs that are built on top of or in association with Babylon. I think the most DeFi native intersection of Bitcoin and call it the DeFi degen culture is this team called Corn. They've done just a phenomenal job of blending the history of Bitcoin plus the ethos of DeFi. And they've been hosting a lot of events. They had one last night with Lil Jon.
Oh my God, yes.
Millennials and my fellow millennials. But the market was puking, so I didn't go out. But I think they definitely nailed the cultural aspect for Bitcoin DeFi.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like even when I was just checking, the events before we came here, there were so many things happening, that was powered by Corn. So they absolutely did an amazing job on that side. There's like a lot of things, to learn from them. I also heard about the party. Basically, I went to a private dinner yesterday and everyone was just talking about that. So it's a very good signal. Yeah. Actually, this was my very last question. Just wanted to, quickly round this because I knew that we have to sort of wrap it up very soon, and I just wanted to leave some time for you to, if you want to add any more comments, you want to share any more experiences, and then we can jump into the POAP side for our listeners here. Okay. Sounds good. So that's a good signal, which basically means that we talked about everything. As a host, I like it. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for the team for being part of this at 7:30 a.m. in the morning. Really, really appreciate you guys. And also, thank you everyone who joined here online. If you commented a few questions below, we will definitely check it out after the live stream. We will get back to you if there is anything interesting that we can share with you. And as a token of appreciation, we just want to give you a POAP, which basically represents that, signals that you met the Mantle team during ETHDenver. Even if it was online, you actually become part of our POAP passport experience. So we have a QR in the corner. You can see that it says collect your POAP. Don't forget to collect it. Basically, this is your way into the POAP passport to unlock the rewards. So once you collect it, you can actually join our Telegram group, as well as you will be part of our raffle that we are doing on the 4th of March next week. So thanks again, everyone, and I hope you liked us being here, sharing our experiences, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks,
Good
guys.
night. Good evening.